soul, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 2, we will call to order the February 20th, 2025 Village Board meeting. Roll call shows all trustees are present, all staff is present, and our attorney Ashley is present. For agenda changes, we will move 10 under new business. We will move A before 6, the public hearing. 5, consent agenda. A, February 6th, 2025 regular board meeting minutes. B, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village. If there are no questions, I would need a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept consent agenda.
A second.
Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, we will then go to 10, new business. A, swearing in ceremony for Brianna Wolgart, police officer.
Okay, want to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Brianna Wolgart,
I, Brianna Wolgart,
having been certified as a law enforcement officer
having been certified as a law enforcement officer
by the Law Enforcement Standards Board,
by the Law Enforcement Standards Board,
and having been duly appointed as a police officer
and having been duly appointed as a police officer
for the Hortonville Police Department,
for the Hortonville Police Department,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office
discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. I'll sign it and get a copy over to Lauren. Perfect. Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard. Okay, we will then go to 6, public hearing. I would need a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for special assessments North Mill Street.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We will now be open for discussion. If anyone wishes to speak, please state your name and address for the minute taker.
So the North Mill Street project is mostly finished. The only thing that is left is the seating that they're gonna redo and fix in the springtime here. Other than that, the price came in about as expected, and the special assessment is that total amount to be assessed is about $85,000, split between the members of the street that occupied the properties. I guess I don't know if there's any other questions on the project from any of the residents. Yeah.
So is that the assessment we got, is that what it's gonna be?
Yes.
That's it set in stone?
Well, if the board makes that decision tonight, yes.
Any other questions?
If anyone needs a more zoomed in version, you guys have. Sorry.
They're visually challenged. Did anybody contact you at all, or?
If there are no other questions, I would need a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 7, pre-registered citizens to be heard. Are there any?
No.
Okay. 8, committee reports. There are none. 9, unfinished business from previous meetings. There is none. 10, B, discussion and possible action on special assessment North Mill Street. Does anyone have questions?
Pass it over to Liz.
Yeah, kind of as is. It's basically the amount that we could budget for it was the amount that we did.
Okay.
How was the interest rate decided?
Based off of what current is available. The number of years also could be changed by the board, in the resolution section.
Right, this does say payment in full on or before May 21st, 2025.
Yeah, so basically, that's, what's gonna happen is if approved tonight, Jane would send out letters. They would have the option to either choose to pay in full or not. They respond to that. If they don't respond, it's automatically gonna be put on their taxes. So,
And the 5.5 would begin.
at that date, the 21st or whatever.
I wouldn't mind seeing the date be like the end of 2025.
Doesn't that have something to do with,
Yeah, we need to know who's actually gonna do it, because we need to know by November 15th for sure, in order to apply it to the taxes.
Right.
And typically, I think we're supposed to have only for a certain amount of days, I don't know. It's always kind of what it's been.
I don't know about a certain number of days, but you want to be able to do it before Jane has to send that off to the county to have it put on the tax bill.
has anyone contacted you about payment arrangements or anything other than, or asking what it potentially?
I had one business owner ask me what the amount was, and I told her the day that we got them, what the amounts are looking like.
Okay.
And I said, I can't promise you this is what it's gonna be, but this is kind of what we're looking at.
I'm having a hard time finding that. It's payment in full or over how many years?
Right now, it's,
It's four.
it's 4,
And then Jane, do you have, there's that assessment installment notice language that goes out, do you have that? Okay.
Yes. I'm not sure if it's, I don't really know how to ask. So I know that we also have some residents on Cedar that are on those corner properties. If they're making installments, this will just layer on top of those installments.
And then what street are we doing after that? Are you doing Embarrass?
Embarrass is probably on the list after Main Street.
Okay, because now that would affect these people also.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking at, 4 years, and not that you'd wanna stretch that out, but if there's
Yes.
somebody who's doing installments, and now you've got 2 sets of installments
Mhm.
for potentially 3 years,
I mean, there's nothing saying you can't overpay it, right? I mean, the installments is what you would be required to pay. So if they wanted to do it early, I mean, I guess it depends on the person and what they wanna do. I mean, I think Cedar is 10 years.
It was.
And
That's,
so,
that's what I'm kind of,
that's a smaller amount that you have to deal with every year.
Yeah.
And you add a little more on, it's not as bad. I don't know, it depends on the person, I guess.
Are the corner lots getting a credit?
No.
I think that's required for a corner lot. We'll have to look at it.
Okay. Well,
I worry more about those corner lots of getting like a double assessment.
right.
So so they've got 10 years to pay this one, but now 4 years to pay this one. Is that even affordable? Is that sustainable for somebody? And that's what I worry about, like, is 4 years enough time, or do we extend this out just a bit?
I think it definitely needs to be extended.
That's
Yeah.
how that's my gut on this, but now,
Right, I mean, we always usually just put it in there as an amount, and then we expect
Yeah.
the board to alter it. So I'm not, the 4 years was not something I came up with, like, it was just.
yeah, it's the corner lots that I worry more about. But again, I also don't know if they made the lump sum payment or if they're doing installments. You know, if they made the lump sum payment, well then maybe it's not such a big deal, but if they're making installments, it is.
Can the percentage rate be lowered?
Board has the power to do it if they want. This is,
We're gonna get charged for the bank, bank is doing it, right?
I don't
Covering
think we
it?
were gonna pull from the bank. It's 85. It's a smaller amount. Normally, if we take from the bank, we would end up doing another 0.5% on top of it for administrative fees, so it also cuts that down a little, but.
Is the corner lot thing
You're
something we
putting me a
can?
little bit on the spot, because I think that it might be, but I don't know that off the top of my head for sure.
I feel like I've gotten, they did both mill and bath, and I don't think I got a credit at all.
You got both assessments?
I got both assessments.
For a corner lot?
Yeah. I don't remember getting any sort of
Realistically, the
credit at
assessment-
all for,
The assessment is for an apron and sidewalk, pretty much, is what they're gonna charge for. Right.
I don't wanna get you guys off track, but I also don't,
That's fine, we can always, you'll have to pass the resolution tonight.
we can match to it. Can we move this item down and give me
Yeah.
a second here to see if I can find it in the statute?
Would we be able to move on to a different?
Yeah.
And then come back to this?
We
Let-
can table it
actually have a
until the end of new business.
Do you need a motion for that to be tabled? He's got a question.
How soon are they gonna do on Bear Street?
It's really hard for us to judge at this point. Main Street's gonna be 26 through 28, so it would probably be after that. That's about as what I can say. It's definitely one of the oldest streets, obviously, in the village at this point, and has issues with it already.
Because you know, I'm one of the corner lots, of
Yep.
course. And I only had 60 feet on Mill Street, and I got 100 feet on Bear Street, so that is gonna be kind of,
Well,
pretty low.
I think there's a little less on the other side
Yeah, I
because of the
think
fact
so.
that they did more on that corner. You're not gonna get double on that section, so.
So the corner lot credit that I was thinking about only applies to sewer and water. And I apologize,
Okay.
so it would not apply to sidewalk and other roadway.
we are holding some of the money for the contractor too right now, right? For the, to make sure the seating and stuff is done.
It's the retainer.
Yeah, but that's all in here at this point.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, I'd rather you clarify, because I worry more
In the
about those
future?
corner lots.
Embarrassed?
Yeah, when that, well, whoever's, that would be up to a board at that time. I would guess they would do the same. They probably, with your section, either if they had to rip any portion off, they would charge you for that. That you've already paid. But,
For putting a new lawn and stuff like that in, would we get credit for water?
Yep.
From that?
all you would have to do is call our village office. We do a water in credit. You don't get a discount on the actual water, you just don't pay the sewer portion. And we'll like, tell you how to do all that stuff.
You mentioned earlier about they were gonna come back and reseed or something, or are you not done seeding or what?
Well, they're seeded, but we're concerned it's not gonna stick, so they're required to come back and make sure that it's at least sticky and growing, so. And we'll probably do a walkthrough at that point of the project after winter to see any of the street conditions and sidewalks and see if there's cracking or really bad areas.
Trying to
So,
see if they have it on.
I think there's already a few areas that we have kind of circled as potentials for them to come back and
Yeah.
add to, so.
So it didn't hit their tax bills last year.
Oh, yeah.
So the average payment on Cedar is, if I remember, and thank you for helping, is roughly 4,000 per year for these residents. 'Cause I remember Cedar being a really expensive.
4,000 for what?
Is the average that of the assessment per lot?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The average.
Yeah,
and
you
that's
said
the
per
average.
year.
Yeah, or, so, that's what I'm trying to figure out, if like these corner lots, if they've paid or if they haven't, I mean, not,
Yeah,
I'm actually in the Outagamie County.
Wasn't Cedar skewed up a little bit? I mean, the average skewed up a little bit. There was like an $18,000 and a 10,000 or
Yeah,
12,
They were
13,000.
big.
There were
Big
some
ones,
really
yeah.
high.
Yeah, there were some really big ones that
Mhm.
were
Yeah.
skewing
these
that
ones,
average up a little bit.
but the two corner lots, I believe, one was 4 and maybe one was 6 or something like that.
Yeah,
And are they cornered with Mill Street?
mm-hmm. So they're gonna get this assessment, you know, that's why we're looking at 4 years. I mean, bottom line, really what I'm looking at is could we extend that out? And if somebody wants to pay early, they pay early.
Right.
But if this then gives a little bit of breathing space to those folks that are on those corners.
Mhm.
Is there a way to just make them consecutive? I mean, not that I want to get it in, because we did,
Like here, you've got an
because we
assessment for
did
the next
10 years
14
on,
years.
on Cedar, which is going to be
Yeah.
a problem, but so you'd be going 14 years. So it'd be on their title for, if they decided to pay it all, take the full length out.
I think
Or
there
do they have to
Same
be
thing.
there
concurrent?
could potentially be an equity argument there, that someone's getting more time, even though it's two separate assessments.
Yeah,
The remaining people only have 4 years, or 5 years, or whatever it is, but you're tacking it on to another one, so they've got 8 years.
okay.
I've never been asked that question, I've never seen someone do it that way from an accounting standpoint, it could get
Yeah, I
confusing here,
understand that, yeah.
but,
I just thought I'd throw that out.
yeah.
But we as a board could say, instead of doing the 4 years, we could do 6 or 7 years, we could extend that out.
For
And
just this
that's
one.
the decision that we would make tonight, and then that gives some breathing space to those folks on the corners, which potentially in Barris Street, when that comes up, if these would overlap in any way, then I would hope that a future board, and you can't tell them what to do, but I would hope that a future board would take that into consideration as well.
Right.
So, I mean, does anyone have any thoughts on that year, like how many years would be,
Are we going into C? Is that what we're doing?
or?
We are now discussing C.
We
They-
don't need to come back to it for the corner lot issue, but we could do it however you guys prefer.
You can end B and go to C.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Mhm.
Should have
Okay,
probably.
so let's do C, discussion and possible action on resolution R-6-25, North Mill Street special assessments. So we have to decide what we want to do for years. What is everyone's opinion on
My
this?
thought is that I would avoid stretching it too much, because otherwise you're gonna end up with a situation like where we have Cedar where it's 10 years, and that's gonna run into a conflict. And somebody, you know, if somebody does the 10 years, then they're gonna, every street that gets done that's gonna have an intersection is gonna run into that, so. I mean, I'm not opposed to extending it, but I just think we should, consider that extending it by too much is almost tying the next board or the next road construction on any intersecting street to guarantee that they're gonna be in this situation.
I think 6 is reasonable.
I think so too, I just wanted to throw that out, I mean,
This is a
I think
smaller
10 is a stretch.
This is a considerably smaller assessment than
Yeah.
Cedar Woods,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think 6 is fair.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So we would need a motion then to change that on the resolution, and, I think the percentage rate should stay where it's at.
Could we move it back a couple months, like August? Just because right now it's late February, so they're like, oh, I have 3 months to, I have 3 months before I start earning interest on $5,000. They can, say maybe a 5
Is 2
months.
months a problem? Or 3 months, 3 months? I mean, is that gonna
Right
cause
now
any
it-
issue for you? I'm saying for, her, from a paperwork standpoint, I mean,
Oh.
is 3 months causing any issues for you?
No.
And I think that's, I think that's fine.
From a budgeting standpoint, I think there's 12 residents on the street. Some of them might have other things going on in their life right now, and
Can we do that, Ashley, once this is approved tonight, make it whenever we want it to be due?
We'll just change it on the
Well, I
or
think they can
sheet.
change it tonight, if that's okay, if that works for you. I don't know how that, what is the time frame for you to provide that information to the county?
We can get it done within a week, I mean.
As long as it's by November 15th.
Yeah, we have to have everything by November
Okay.
15th.
So if we changed it to August, whatever, the end,
If that's
Would
enough.
give
the end of August, that would give them more, and that would still give you plenty of time.
yeah, before school starts.
Right.
So then we would need a motion to change the payment in full date and the number of years to pass this.
I'll make a motion to approve R-6-25 with the changes of the payment in full date to August 21st, 2025, and the, changing the payout from 1/4 to 1/6 of the principal, together with interest, per year.
I'll second.
Roll call, Jim?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. D, discussion and possible action on recommendation from Planning and Zoning Commission to approve the CSM for parcel 240022800 and 240022803.
So at Planning and Zoning, we had a public hearing, of the proposed property. Basically, they're splitting out the larger 9 acres that was there, attaching that to the a large portion of it to the 6-acre property next door, and then leaving one lot that's 1.3 acres, and the other one, would be around 15, 16 acres.
Any questions? If not, we would need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation from Planning and Zoning for parcel 240022800 and 240022803.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. E, discussion and possible action on recommendation from Planning and Zoning Commission to approve ordinance 0-01-25 the rezone of Lot 1 of the proposed CSM on a portion of 2400-22803.
So that would just be rezoning that lot 1 from agriculture to single-family residential.
Make a
Any
motion to
questions?
approve O-01-2025.
I'll second.
Does that change, sorry, I did have a question, does that change like taxes or anything?
No.
It's the same,
No, the county really deals with the tax portion. It might, obviously their taxes are gonna change, because their amount of land
yeah.
before changed, but the zoning shouldn't, unless they, they might have to pay a little bill. Typically when you change from agriculture to residential, sometimes there's a fee they have to pay for doing that, because they were getting a discount before, if they had that registered. That's my understanding.
Thanks, I was just curious.
Is there a motion and a second?
Yes, there it is.
Okay, then roll call.
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Okay, then we will go to F. Discussion and possible action on turning over the police department drone to the Hortonville-Hortonia Fire District.
So I'll take this one. The drone was turned over to me at the end of December. I was told at that time that it was not operable. I didn't have anybody internally at the police department that had the training or operated the drone. So I worked with the fire department, turned it over to Lauren Steinacker, who runs their drone program. They have the exact same drone as what we had. He had it running in 24 hours, and they did some training with it already. So with this, there was a donation that was given to us, and the idea was, the drone was going to be used for the safety of our residents. Talking with Lauren Steinacker and Chief Clunky over there, that at the fire department, they feel like they could still utilize the second drone on another fire department rig that, our police department could call on them to, just for their drone team, not the entire fire department, to come out and assist us as needed. And from a practicality standpoint, like for us as a police department, it's very difficult to use a drone because we're sort of the boots on the ground, getting the information, doing the things to collect what's going on while another team is usually using the drone. So to me, it just makes a lot of sense to transfer it to them. There's a use that would be for the police department, and still kind of staying within the confines of what the donation was for, and that's resident safety. There is a smaller drone that comes with sort of the package. It's a training drone. It's something that we could still use on the police department, just for, I would say, like non-emergency type searches, loose dogs, those types of things. And Lawrence Steinacker said he would work with me on the training for our officers to use that drone. But to me, it just makes a lot of sense given the aspects of the donation. We're keeping it within the community. It's beneficial to their agency. My recommendation would be that we just transfer, ownership of that drone to the fire department.
Any questions? Otherwise, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to turn over the police department drone over to the Hortonville-Hortonia Fire Department.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. G, discussion and possible action on Alonzo Park camera system.
So we put a significant investment in Alonzo Park, and with our one of our public water drinking supplies there, they're looking to upgrade the security cameras at the park. We had 3 quotes to do so, which are in the packet. The lowest is TECC security system.
What are your feelings on the 3? Which one do you like?
TECC by far. They actually are the only one of the 3 that came and walked the site with us and kind of looked at kind of what we were needing to see, where we were needing to see, and how that would work to tie them all together at the park.
Where are these gonna be put? The pavilion or?
There's one, they're gonna be shot from different angles and then all tied together.
Okay, so are they gonna like put up poles and then have them on poles, or are they gonna?
Use the light poles or the, like overhangs of the roof. or
Okay.
buildings.
And did they say where they're gonna put the, like the equipment, it's the rest of, I mean, the basic?
The equipment's gonna go, there's like a storage room in the restroom facility,
Okay,
so they're gonna put all the equipment in there.
okay. And then the internet connection. Are we, is this something that we need to be able to live, view?
Well, it's got a wireless access point in this quote.
Yeah,
And then we talked about maybe creating like Wi-Fi
At the park.
at the park. So if we're going to run internet service for this, a secure internet connection, are we potentially, and this is like, it's not agenda, but I mean, eventually putting in internet access Wi-Fi for the public. So this just puts in that access point, but we're still going to need to get internet service in that.
that was my next question, is
Yeah.
where's the internet gonna come? I mean, I looked at the equipment, and, like the other quotes, it uses like the wireless, technology, but you have to get the internet from somewhere. Where was the intended source?
I'm not sure about that. I don't remember talking to him about any of that when we were there. They talked, I know the cameras all talk to each other, and then go into where they put the room.
But in order for it to be, let's say someone to be able to remotely pull it up on a phone or a computer, it would need to have some way, you know.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about this to be a later on kind of thing.
Miller Parks doesn't have that.
Yeah,
But
that's what,
do you access it remotely on your phone?
No.
No. See, that's the whole point.
well, that's my
What's it
point too, is
protect-
I don't
I
know
don't
that
think-
it's a necessary.
I don't
that
think
we-
we're accessing it on our phones.
Not necessarily that you'd have to, but I mean, if you wanted to, like,
Right. I don't know if this quote does that though.
One of the other ones does.
Yeah, I don't think this one has that in there. When we were on site, I don't remember talking to him about having internet down there.
Because we wanted to have it the same as as Miller Park, where if we need to go and look at it, because it's usually after the fact when
Yeah.
something happens, and then you go and look for the, because no one's gonna be watching it.
I just saw in here that wireless access point, and that's what struck me as, that's why I wanted to ask the question.
I do like the idea of eventually having some kind of something down there. where
Public
people are
Wi-Fi?
using the splash pad.
Yeah, so I don't see anything on here about, a recording device on this quote.
Ma'am, do you have a question?
If you're opening up Wi-Fi, are you worried about it, it's a place where children play, are you worried about it being hacked at all and somebody streaming into your Wi-Fi? Is that more of something to consider, that you want more of a closed circuit versus public Wi-Fi in a place where they can access your cameras? Just a thought.
Good point.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Well,
And there's different levels of, you know, the access, but
so the-
my question more was specific to this, just because there was some differences in the quotes, and that's why I was, I don't know if Jim caught that too. but-
Yeah, so the one quote includes, like the Ubiquiti Air Max, the 5 gigahertz wireless system, right? So the idea there is that it's, and if you were to, I would advise against using that, by the way. I've got experience using their systems, and if you were to go with something like that, you need to get some sort of a guarantee. But the concern that I have on here is there's no, on the TECC quote, there's no recording device as part of the listings here, so.
Like the NVR, so like if you go down there to go view your videos, where is the video stored?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the piece that's missing on here. We don't have internet there. If we did get a system that has, some sort of a DVR and you put it inside that building, and we get internet run to the park sometime in the future, which isn't even on, then at that point you could connect it in, you could hardwire it in and go. I think, Julie, I think the, if I'm just based off of the equipment here, I'm guessing that the wireless access point is because some of the cameras are gonna be wireless.
Okay.
Right, so the wireless cameras will connect to the base station via that access point. It's just a closed circuit. It's just wireless, but it's a closed circuit directly to there. Instead of running a cable all the way out and up a pole, it
Okay.
used to be wireless to the.
That's fine,
But I don't see that piece.
But I
of
don't
it.
see the, like, so like on the one from Hunter Security has for 3,779, there's an 8 terabyte hard drive. There's no hard drive on the tech one. And I've worked with tech before, and normally they have that NVR. And so you guys put in a tech system elsewhere, right?
At the plant,
So how do you can access the video? Is there like a box that looks like a flat DVR?
Yeah. And then
That's-
an LCD, and then a like LCD display, how it is.
I don't see that on this.
Yeah, me neither. I think,
I hate to pee in your, that's what, I'm like, wow, that's a big difference in price, but then I was trying to figure out, well, what's missing? And maybe there's something else that I'm not understanding.
Cause yeah, if an incident happens, how do we go and?
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to have a recording section on it.
Yeah,
So, I
and
mean,
I
it's
don't
not-
see that in the list here, and maybe, I don't know.
maybe we can push this back to TCC just to clarification to make sure that there is some sort of a DVR, some
okay.
sort of recording device. I mean,
I think they provide us a quote without.
I would be, well, I think somebody
I
forgot to
think
type
it's
it into
odd.
the description of the parts.
Okay.
And when I looked at the prices, I'm like, what is the big difference here? The big difference is that NVR unit is not, there's no recording device that records that video forever how long for somebody to go back and look.
Yeah, I can ask him the question, we can bring it back.
Okay, then we will, anything else? No. Okay, we'll move on to H, discussion and possible action on Hortonville Recreation Program hours.
So, our rec director isn't here. Talking points she had was hours, but she wanted to eliminate Friday, adding 1 hour to Monday through Thursday.
This is for like
Friday was a
summer
half day?
program.
Was Friday just a half day anyway? Or was it full?
It's 2
There was
hours.
a half day.
Friday's 2 hours, 10 minutes.
So instead of going till 3, you go till 4?
That's what it's, I think so.
Do some families use this kind of like as a daycare in a way?
That's what I was thinking.
And then do they, when they leave rec on Friday, on that early time, where do they normally go? I'm gonna ask the library director, do they kind of meander to the library?
They sure do.
And that's what I'm wondering, if like, and not that that's a problem,
Right.
but I'm just wondering if by doing that, are we gonna be hurting, or are we gonna be making it harder for a family to find that care?
I think it's hard for, like, if you're just, it's not the same as like working daycare. I mean, it's not from 8 to, 4 each day or anything like that. So I think it's still used kind of as daycare, but it's also, kind of used for, I don't know, kids to kind of go on things without the parents having to take along.
Yeah.
So
Do we have it, and this maybe is more of a Siri question, but like attendance, like on Fridays, did we have a lower attendance because people wanted the Monday through Thursdays, I don't know.
Can we table this until we have a representative from the rec
I
department?
think that would be
actually-
smart.
I don't think you
It'd be
can.
nice to be able to ask.
Sign-up's already gonna be starting next week or so.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I would trust that she knows the flow of the rec.
Yeah, I'm not trying to mess with her mojo,
Yeah.
I'm just looking at it from both ends and.
no, I get it.
I think Fridays were hard to schedule anything in for just those few hours. And it seemed like it was, I mean, you barely get started and it's ending. So I can see your point, not wanting it on a Friday. I think by doing this is probably a much better thing,
Yeah? I haven't had kids.
just
in
from
rec
past
years.
experience that I've ever seen.
So Fridays were only 10 to noon? Is that what it was? Fridays were only 10 to
It
noon?
was only 2 hours.
Right. So I mean, it didn't make any sense. Plus, you're making all those workers come in on a Friday for what, 2 hours, 3 hours? To me, it would make more sense to, I mean, you're not paying them any more hours because if you're eliminating a Friday and adding on a couple, 2 hours
Yeah, I could
Monday
care less
through
either way, I just was.
Thursday.
Well, I think people
One-
who go on vacations for weekends usually leave on Friday, so then they're not missing work either, so that's why you're making attendance that drops on Friday
That's what I was
too.
wondering, attendance, yeah.
So basically, we need a motion to change the hours.
What did she want for Monday through Thursday?
Yeah, you get extra hours, what she
So
said.
9 to 4,
So
it
9
was
to
going
4?
9 to
Yeah,
3.
9 to 4, and then eliminate Fridays.
I can make a motion to change the Hortonville rec program hours Monday through Thursday from 9 to 4 and eliminate Friday hours.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I, discussion and possible action on Hortonville Recreation staff numbers.
That one just says adding 1 full-time staff member. So, I don't know what that
So
means.
is that something we can wait until we can discuss with her, or?
I mean,
Or does
most
she-
of her
is she
employees are
hiring now?
full-time during the, I mean, the employees are all full-time during that 6-week.
Can your
Yeah.
budget afford that? 'Cause there's
I
a
mean,
budget
year
for that,
round?
right?
I mean, that's what I think is what she's kinda getting at.
A year-round position?
Well,
Year-round?
they're all full-time currently when they're in anyway. So cause they all work about 40 hours a week during
Yeah,
that.
but how many people does she have now that she's got on her?
I don't know.
Is she asking for another person during the summer, or is she asking?
No, because like what I've always said to her when we're talking about like workers is if her budget can, like, we base the workers on the number of signups you have. So
Right.
typically that's usually how she does it, and I just kind of have told her, like, if you're within budget, and you need it, to do it. So
So how is this
I-
different?
Okay, I heard the year round.
That's why I just,
I don't.
So
I don't-
year round, does that mean like the year round?
She never said year round, but that's the only thing that I could come up with when I'm thinking about a full-time employee. I mean, I don't know.
Which would, that
I mean,
would
that's,
sustain somebody full-time.
year-round.
yeah, so
I don't think we have enough information.
Information
No,
on
I
this
don't
one
think
at
so.
all.
I think there's some confusion.
So,
Clarified.
I think we should table this, and
This part,
and this
yeah.
is not critical to the sign up. If the sign up, you get however many you get. So I move that we table this till the next meeting,
I agree.
when
Yeah, I
when the rec representative can be in attendance.
Okay. We move to J, discussion and possible action on administrator advanced leadership program.
So this came up in my review. At one point, we did say you guys wanted me to bring any leadership opportunities to you. This is the one that I denied last year because of price, because I thought it was too high. But you guys wanted me to bring it.
How much is it?
It's $5,000 for the year.
Have you seen any other programs?
I didn't really look at any other programs. This was a speaker that came to an administrators conference and ran that conference. He's been basically working a lot with the city of Wapaka administrator, but he works with, the whole program is private and public sector executives that get together once a month for, I think it's like kind of some training, webinar coaching. There's some more detailed assessments they take of the, it would be of myself and then something that I could give to the department heads, but I don't know, I have no preference, really.
So you kind of answered the question, so I was gonna ask, is anybody else that you know that has gone through this? You said the administrator in Wapaka?
Yeah. He currently is a member.
And did you talk to him? Was it,
Yeah, I mean,
did he say it's beneficial?
Yeah, he's the one that got the guy to come speak at,
Okay.
So he is good friends with them. He comes in to a lot of municipalities sometimes if there's personnel issues going on and kind of coaches some of the department heads in some of the municipalities at times on how to handle some of those situations. I mean, he has experience, but I just don't know.
Our goal was to help you expand, grow. That was our whole.
Right. No, I get that. And I just, for me, it's hard for me to want to spend that kind of money on something that I think there's a lot of other uses in the village I think that could be beneficial for a lot of that money. I think some of the other things could be looked at too on different options, but
What do we budget for your training for next year?
for this year, I think it was around 2,500 or so, which usually pays for 2 conferences. One I'm not able to go to this year because it's going to be conflicting with my vacation. So, but yeah,
I don't have a problem with continued education. You seem to be really hesitant on this, which makes me wonder if the name of this is more pertinent.
I'm hesitant because of the price tag, and it's
Yeah.
hard for me to want to spend $5,000 on a training that,
But you said it would potentially, maybe I'm misheard. Did you say that it also included training that can be pushed back to your, I mean, because now we're looking at more than just for your training, we're looking,
Right.
it's a bigger
No,
scope, right?
He mentioned that there is an assessment portion that could be something to use with our staff, but it's not something that they would.
Nothing they provide.
Yeah, so I think it was, we'll give you the tools to do it for your staff potentially, and help with coaching on different things and, I don't know.
You have been doing some training though in
Oh,
certain
yeah.
things. So I mean, it's not like you're not looking to
Right.
find things that aren't quite this expensive that are still going to help you.
Right,
Yeah.
and there is other things out there,
Yeah.
it's not like this is the end all be all, it's just, it was the one that came up before and, yeah.
You're not selling it very
I'm not
No,
saying you're.
which is kind of ironic with
It's
the
a-
name of
So,
We
I
gotta
mean, our decision, it has to be based off the information that we have, right?
Right.
And what I'm getting from you is you're downplaying this to the point where, I'm getting the impression from you that you don't think that the return off of the training, the additional training is equal to the cost of the program. Is that correct or is that incorrect?
I'm skeptical on a lot of these trainings because I think, and this might be ignorant, but I think a lot of them, you come back, you're a little refreshed, and you try to implement new things, and I think that after enough time passes, I think some of that stuff goes, and you go back to your old habits anyway. That's where I'm kind of like, I'm not saying I don't want to try to do better, I'm just saying like, for the amount, we did start doing a little different options. We did start doing leadership readings. We each got a leadership book for the department heads, and we're all reading leadership books, kind of discussing leadership and stuff. So we are doing some more of that. And I think the 2 times that we've talked about our books, I think has been very, it's been a good conversation amongst the department heads, and I think I almost get, I would think almost the same thing out of that than I would out of this, and that's why it's hard for me to say I wanna go forward with this.
It's a big
I think
investment.
we-
Yeah, I think you should invest in something that you believe in and something that you're gonna get benefits out of. That doesn't, if paying $5,000 doesn't make you comfortable with what you're gonna get back, maybe this isn't the training at this time
Right.
for you. Maybe later, after you've done some other trainings,
Right.
maybe. But I don't think that we should put money towards something you don't think you're gonna get the benefit out of
But don't stop looking.
at this time.
Right.
Bringing it to
Right, I mean, there's definitely areas that that I constantly know I need improvement on, and that's part of some of the readings on these books that we're doing, and, I think it's just more of a constant thing to do instead of, you know.
Okay.
Please
All
bring
right.
it back to us if there's something that you want, you know.
No problem. I will.
Okay, we'll move to 11, reports of village officials. A, clerk treasurer, Jane.
My report was in the packet. We had 194 voters on Tuesday.
Any questions for Jane? Okay, for B, director of public works, Aaron.
My report's in the packet, and I did pass out a public notice that's gonna be going out to all of our water customers. So basically, what this stems from is, this fall, we had to submit a materials inventory for our lateral service lines for our water utility, per the EPA's federal lead and copper rule revisions. We submitted that by the time frame that was proposed and made that public, which were the two requirements. So it just came back that the materials inventory that we submitted, the number of lines in that inventory does not match what we submitted in our 2023 Wisconsin PSC report. And because those two don't match up, that automatically puts us in violation of the rule. So as soon as you get that violation of the rule, this public notice automatically has to go to every water user. So talked to the DNR about today, talked to her about how we did meet everything we did, and she's like, I hear you, I get it, but you still have to send this out. So I put it together, and it's being sent out to every user. We're working with MSA, our consultant, that helped us with the inventory to rectify the discrepancy between those two numbers, and as soon as we figure that out, we'll send it back to the DNR, and they'll put us back into compliance.
And there's no cost associated to this at all, other than your,
Mailing costs,
yeah.
How off were the numbers?
about 200. So from what I was looking through, I think what happened was that we got some private well information that got into the material list that we submitted to the DNR. And if we can pull that out, I think we should be closer, and then we'll be able to dial in exactly what we should have for both reports.
Any questions?
But there is no known lead in our water utility.
And then, so like anything you did submit, none of those were lead.
No,
In-
we haven't,
yeah.
we don't have any known lead in our system, which a majority of this letter is about lead.
Yeah, which is gonna be your phone calls. You're not sick of talking about copper.
Yeah, this is my other point to the DNR, that I can't take any of that language out.
Yeah. So then this just goes out in the mail, and they're directed to contact, so they're directed to contact the water utility or you?
Water utility.
Water utility. And do we have like a script of what can and cannot be said? Is that something, I mean, I just wanna make sure that, because who's answering the phone with the water utility? And are we consistent with that answer?
Yeah, it's actually, we have Sean's contact info. And
Okay,
he helped me with this, so he knows where we're at, what the reason is, and he can explain it.
okay.
Any other questions for Aaron? We'll go to C, police chief, Brian.
Reports in the packet. I did want to just update the board. Went to All World Ford and just get an updated appraisal on the truck. It's on the auction site on surplus. But just wanted to make sure our numbers were clean because that quote that we got for $25,000 was from the end of October, and wanted to make sure that our numbers stood there. They didn't. They lowered it a couple thousand and gave me a trade-in value of $23,000 just based on the market changing, and that it's 4 or 5 month old quote. Walking in here tonight, the truck was at 21.5, I think, on surplus. We still have, it's Tuesday, 11:30, I think it ends, or 11:40, something like that. So we've got some time. There's 40 bids on it, and typically I would say those last 24 hours is when you're going to see probably the most activity. So I think we're going to probably surpass that 23, but just kind of updating you that that's where we're at with things.
We did have a minimum of 25, I think, didn't we?
Yeah, at that point, we could, if it's under 25, we can determine whether or not we accept it or not on the site. But at that point, it's probably going to be something staff is going to just have to determine, because we're not going to be able to bring it back to the board. At this point, we're kind of going to take the highest thing we can get.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I wanted to go up there, because I didn't want to say no to 24 and then find out that All World said, well, now we're only going to give you 20.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted something in writing from them that's current. So I think 23 is the number we're working off of right now.
And you said that's trade value or this outright purchase?
We just talked about that
Yeah.
this afternoon. That's, to my understanding, that's outright purchase.
Okay.
We're going to get verification.
But
on
we
that.
want to get
From All World.
verification. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll
So-
get that before we decide on anything, so.
When was the final date?
I think it's Tuesday. You got it up otherwise I could play. I think it's
Tuesday at
11:30.
11:40 a.m.
Or 11:40.
Any other questions for Brian? No? We'll go to D, Library Director, Ally.
We have a library board meeting on Tuesday at 4 o'clock. I've been working hard on the annual report that we submit to the state every year. Got final verification this afternoon that Owls has completed their assessment of it. We're all in the clear. So now it moves on to the library board approving it and then submitting to the state before March 1st. So we're looking good. That's all I've got.
Any questions for Ally? We'll go to E, Attorney, Ashley.
I don't have anything.
F, Administrator, Nathan.
My report should be in the packet, just kind of summarizing, I think I did finish kind of going through some of the zoning stuff, and I sent that over to the attorney, and she's gonna work on it over the next few months with me as well. And then at some point, hopefully bring it back to you guys, wait a few months, have some conversations with the board and planning and zoning, and then start the public hearing process. I want to kind of get your guys' opinions on it before we start that public hearing process, because I want to make sure you guys are in agreement with the stuff that we're looking at. So.
Any questions for Nathan? Okay, we'll move to G, Building Permit Report. There is none. H, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to have a quick discussion about the Main Street road widths.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, we'll go to 12, Communication and Miscellaneous Business. A, Black Otter Lake District News. Bob?
Nothing new, again, our next meeting is April 15th.
We'll move to B, Hortonville, Hortonia Fire District News. Jim?
Nothing new.
I do have a question. Kind of pertaining to Black Otter also. There was an ice rescue training session that was done, and I don't know if that's Jim or if that's
It was
Chief. Is there any way that we can be informed of when these go on? Because I know I had 3 people ask me what was happening.
It was posted on Facebook.
Yeah,
that
they
they
That
were
is
it's on
doing
posted on
Facebook.
Facebook.
It was posted on Facebook that they were doing training on black otter.
Yeah.
I just, you know,
Mhm.
in answer to residents when they ask, so. It's planned, right? It's a scheduled
Yeah.
thing
Well,
done?
yeah, it's planned. Their plans aren't, you know, made out 6 months in advance. It's a little more loosely planned than that, but, yeah. I can bring it up to Jack and see if there's anything else I can do to, you know, to let people know that it's training. But, I can mention it to them.
I'd appreciate it, just.
Okay, we'll move to C, Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report and News. It is in the packet. D, Hortonville Civic Association, Jane.
Nothing new.
Okay, E, Senior Activities, and it is in the packet.
I have a comment on the senior activities. I'm seeing that, just piggybacking off of the concerns and fears expressed and discussed regarding federal funds being cut, I do have another concern from a senior that was shared with me that I'd like to share with the board in relation to the seniors in our community. He was concerned about the senior nutrition program, which benefits from federal funding in addition to state and local funds. Fox City's Valley Transit 2 and the Connector, rural transportation for seniors and people with disabilities, state Medicaid long-term support programs, including Family Care Iris and the Partnership Program, Medicaid nursing home reimbursement, and there's more, so I'd like to kind of set this up to have a future, maybe discussion on, does the village have a plan in place if and when some of these funds are no longer there, like our Meals on Wheels program, and I'm just,
So like a future agenda item, or?
well, I'm definitely sharing what this guy is concerned about, and I'm right there with him too, so.
I mean, I would just say from a village standpoint, there's no way we could afford to do any of it. I mean, the village would have to drastically, I mean, we would have to actually make a referendum in order to do any of those programs. The county, on the other hand, would probably be the best one to run any of them, or the state. I mean, it's just the amount of, I mean, you'd have to add tons of employees to do some of those stuff things.
And the county does have a lot of programs now, so you should maybe attend a senior meeting and discuss it with them and see who they can get a hold of.
Just being a voice for a concerned senior.
And then tell that person to attend a senior meeting and discuss it and go through the county. So,
Just what's happening right now isn't normal, so some things will be expected to change if funding is falling through left and right. It has a ripple effect that you feel first in your immediate community, which is us.
okay, we will move to 13, comments and suggestions from citizens present. I think there's nothing, so then we will go to 14. Motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session under state statute 19.851C concerning employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically employment compensation.
I'll second.
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
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 Motion carried. We will take 5 minutes to clear the room.
Yeah.
Okay, 17, any action on matters discussed in closed session? There is none. 18, I would need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now adjourned at 7:25.